What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we're going to be talking about AMC and Sundial, two of the favorites on this channel. A lot of people love these stocks, and unfortunately, as we're about to see, these stocks have not been performing well as of late. As you know, not many stocks have been, right? A lot of these stocks have been down, but over the past 30 days, you can see that we have been falling recently, and we've been on a bit of a bumpy ride over the past while. If you look at the past year for Sundial, for AMC as well, and especially even more recently, once again, we have been falling. So there are reasons why this is happening, and it actually is exemplified pretty well. If you look at the first hour or so of the market open just today, you can see a very similar pattern in AMC where we started out the day, we had a little bit of volatility, then we moved down. And you can actually see the exact same thing in Sundial, right? We started out the day, had a little bit of volatility, then moved down. And you can see the exact same thing. And guess what? The S&P 500, we had a little bit of volatility at the beginning of the day and then moved down. And the reason that all of these stocks are moving down is one and the same, right? AMC and Sundial, whether or not people like to admit it, are at the end of the day tied to the market and the overall macroeconomic environment that we're currently experiencing. And unfortunately, that macroeconomic environment is not looking too good as this Russia and Ukraine situation gets worse and worse. Now, there's a lot more to it than this. We're going to get into it. But the Russia and Ukraine situation is certainly looking like a big threat in a lot of people's minds. A lot of people are worried because Russia is evacuating their embassy in Ukraine. Ukraine is urging its citizens to leave Russia today. And Ukraine did just have Russian troops enter into two separatist zones and kind of take them over. So people are already calling it an invasion. Some people, at least, are calling it an invasion. And people are getting worried that this could cause a ton of issues across not just Russia and Ukraine, but the whole world, because they both produce a lot of goods. They produce a lot of food for some people, not for us necessarily, but they produce a lot of stuff. And regardless, oil has been increasing in price and inflation has been out of control as of late. And this situation is not helping things. So overall, we're looking at a very scary macroeconomic environment. Okay, there's a lot of fear out there, a lot of selling. If you look at the S&P, this was, I believe, one of the worst Januaries that we've ever had, and we've just been crashing in the S&P, as well as with Sundial and with AMC. Unfortunately, since the year has begun, things have not been looking too good for these stocks, right? We've just been moving down and down and down, and things have been looking worse and worse. Now, a lot of these fears are also surrounding the federal funds rate. A lot of people are expecting the federal funds rate to be increased. They're expecting the Fed to do a couple of rate hikes. Now, some good news on this front that we might be getting sometime soon is that the Russia and Ukraine situation may complicate the Federal Reserve's interest rate decision. So there is a little bit of a bright side to this on the macroeconomic side, where maybe the Fed is going to decide that because Russia and Ukraine are creating all of this conflict, that there's all of this fear in the markets, that growth might be slowing down because of oil price hikes, that maybe now is not the right time to raise interest rates by as much as they were typically thinking they would, right? If you actually look, these are oil prices, and you can see that over the course of the year, this is just the past 2 months about, oil prices have gone up dramatically. That is surely causing a bit of a slowdown to economic growth. The more that oil costs, the more that pretty much everything costs, because you have to use oil to do most things, to produce most things, and to transport most things. So if oil goes up in price, then everything gets a little bit more expensive. We're already seeing a little bit of that affecting us. If you've gone to the gas pumps lately, you've already seen they're pretty darn expensive. And so some economic experts, some analysts are expecting the Fed will, instead of a half-point rate hike, just do a quarter-point increase, which would overall ease some market tension, because at the end of the day, people are really worried about these rate hikes, and the S&P has not been reacting too kindly to these Fed rate hike talks. So any decrease in what the Fed is expecting to do or planning on doing or ends up doing would likely translate into good stuff for the overall stock market, which, as you can see, is still, kind of tracking what the more meme-like stocks like Sundial and AMC are doing. It's still a pretty good indicator of which direction they might be moving in. For the most part, at least right now, when we're in this bear market, you can't expect many stocks to be doing too well. In fact, pretty much everything is down right now. We're looking at a pretty red day in the overall markets, Sundial and AMC included. And for the most part, they're just following the markets. While there's all this fear out there, people do not want to be buying stocks. Unfortunate as it is, people do not want to be buying stocks while they're cheap. They want to wait until the clouds have cleared and they can see the future a little bit more clearly, and they don't want to be buying stocks that are cheap. And talking about stocks that are cheap, we did post this to the locals community the other day, the investing community that we've got that you can join for free, link in description, where we posted this: 72 stocks down, 65% plus. And if we actually look at it, you can see that some of these stocks include some of the meme favorites, some of the Reddit favorites. Clove, AMC is on here. AMC is right there. We've got a lot of meme stocks on this, and a lot of other more fundamental-based companies on here as well, right? A ton of stocks are down massively. PayPal, Square, CRISPR, a ton of stocks are down in a big way. Even Bumble is down in a big way. And it's unfortunate to see, but at the end of the day, something that you may want to take into account is that if stocks are down, say, 75%, then to return to the highs that they were at, that would actually be a 4x. So when you see these massive percentage decreases, they actually translate into even bigger gains in the future if you expect these stocks to get back up to their all-time highs, right? If you eventually expect that some of these companies will be doing well and get up to their all-time highs, then say a 75% decrease in stock price, you'd have to 4x the stock price from where it's at to get back to the all-time highs. So there is certainly some upside potential if you expect any of these companies to actually continue moving on in the world and to get along in a somewhat decent way in the near future. If you don't expect them to go bankrupt, they've already been beaten down so much that some of them are potential buying opportunities at these extremely devalued prices, right? And you can see it's not just devalued prices, but there's a lot of shorts in these stocks as well. Sundial and AMC, we'll just briefly look at the short interest. Sundial is 251 million shares short. AMC has 107 million shares short. AMC has actually been pretty steadily increasing in short interest over the past couple of months. It's kind of scary to see that shorts have not taken any fear to shorting these stocks despite the massive decreases in price that they've experienced, and the fact that if we were to have another big rally and a lot of momentum coming into these stocks, it could really hurt shorts in a somewhat big way, especially the shorts that are getting in at these cheaper prices that are currently shorting the stock when these stocks are currently trading at fairly low valuations compared to where they have over the past year. It's somewhat scary to see for shorts, right? That's actually good for everybody else, but it's somewhat scary to see for shorts. So that's the update. That's what I wanted to talk about in this, just to explain a little bit why we're currently falling, right? It's overall the macroeconomic environment that we're looking at that's causing a bunch of fear for not just Sundial, not just AMC, but all stocks. We're looking at a situation where all of these stocks are suffering, and not just as much as the market might reveal, because it's actually a whole lot more. A ton of stocks are down 65% plus, all 72 stocks on this list. And this is not an all-inclusive, all-comprehensive list. There's a ton more stocks that are down, potentially even more than this. I mean, it's tough to be down more than 93%, but I'm sure there are stocks out there that are doing it. And it's overall a somewhat scary thing to see when your portfolio is down that much. But what you have to keep in mind is if you do have a conviction in these companies, if you have a faith in them, then it's actually just all the better. It's just a much better buying opportunity, because if you're down 90%, then you're going to have to 10x to get back up to the all-time highs. And who doesn't want to 10x? I'm not saying that all of these stocks can do it. Some of them, some companies do go bankrupt. Not every company is going to be a huge success. It's entirely possible some of these will go out of business before they really start churning out profits. And that's a real possibility, especially if we do see a big war with Russia. Times can get tough during wars. So that's a risk to keep in mind. But overall, it's not the biggest risk in my mind. I don't think that we're too likely to have a catastrophic war in the near future, but we'll see, right? That's obviously up for debate. Some people think we will. But other than that, guys, none of this is financial advice. I'm not recommending anyone do anything with their money. If you want to join the locals community, feel free to do that. You can get all kinds of information. We're going to be posting there pretty frequently. And other than that, guys, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.